Hey guys, so this is a little screencast to show you how to create some basic charts in Google Spreadsheets. So the first thing you're going to do is click on that link that has the spreadsheet to start with, and it's going to look like this. And what you want to do is create a copy because you can't edit that link. So you're going to go to File and then Make a Copy. And then you're going to want to rename it. So it says copy of, so just take that part out and put your last name at the end. Okay, so we're going to make a couple different types of charts, and I want to briefly talk about what charts are what appropriate for what things. So the first set of data that we have here is about hair color. And since hair color is a word, blonde, black, brown, that's a category. So hair color would be a categorical data, which means that it's better suited for things like bar charts, like a bar graph, or even a pie chart, as opposed to numerical data, which is down here, number of hours of TV. So if you were to survey people and said, how many hours of TV did you watch last night? The answer would be a number, so that's numerical data. Versus with categorical data, you ask them what color their hair is, the answer is a word. So that's categorical data. So we're going to start by making a bar chart for this hair color data. So we go to highlight your data, and there's a couple of different ways. There's an insert chart button over here. So I'll do that, or you can just go insert chart. And the chart editor has defaulted and given us a bar chart, which is great. So I'm just trying to get it into view here. Okay, we can see it a little bit more. So let's explore some of these tabs here. So under data, we have column chart, which is what I wanted to do. But notice that if I click on that, there's also all these other different types of charts that we can do. So we'll look at a couple of those later. There's this option for stacking. Let's see what that does. I'm not sure, really. Okay. So I must stack the bars on top of each other, but we don't want to do that. And it looks like, see how it grabbed the titles that we wanted here? So it made one up for us, number of students versus hair color. So if I were to really want to name that myself, I'd just say hair color, maybe of students surveyed, something like that. And they've put number of students on the y-axis, so that's great. We don't even need this legend. Oops. Just deleted the whole thing. Let me just undo that. So under legend here, I'm just going to choose none. And then we have all the information that we need because we already know it's the number of students. Okay. You can mess around here with more things like the horizontal axis. We can slant it. There's the vertical axis. Under series. There's some info there. Oh, what's trend line going to do? Interesting. We don't need that for this, but that would be good for if we had a scatter plot. Okay, and then the titles of the axes are right here. So this is the chart title. And if we wanted to do the horizontal axis, it would be here, or the vertical axis. But they've already labeled those pretty well for us. So I think that's pretty much all we need to know. And we didn't really have to make too many changes to that. And you can resize your chart by just dragging the corner in and out, which can be helpful for seeing the data. Now let's take that same data and make a pie chart. So instead of column chart here, we can choose pie chart. Now this kind of pie chart has the little lines that go through to it, which is interesting. Let me see if there's another line for us. It's the same thing. This one's on an angle, or there's this sort of donut looking one. So I'm just going to go back to the regular pie chart here. And we can play around with the labels. Okay, so let's play with some stuff on this pie chart. It first of all has number of students as the title, so we're probably going to want to change that. So let's go to chart titles, and I'm going to change it to hair color. Students survey. Okay, and what else can we change? I don't actually really love necessarily these lines, so I'm going to go down to legend here. And if you see the positions as labeled right now, if we took off those labels, we really wouldn't have any indication of what was going on. So let's do one on the right, but we still need to have something on there. So where did I see it? So under pie chart, click on pie chart and slice label. Right now it says none. So we can go back, we can just write, label, or we can do percentage, which is helpful because now I can see that there's blonde is 22.2%. You can do value and percentage, so it tells you how many people as well as the percentage. So up to you, but I'm going to just leave it like that. So we've got our pie chart now, and we've got our bar chart, and that's showing us our categorical data. The useful thing about a pie chart, by the way, is that it shows you what percentage of the whole is in each category. So for example, 22% of all people surveyed are blonde versus just knowing that 12 people were blonde. Okay, so with this numerical data, there's this really cool feature to create a histogram. And we're going to learn more about histograms in week 9, and I'm actually going to show you a more complex way to make histograms, but this is a really simple way. So I'm just going to highlight the data, and it's suggesting this funky line chart, which is not what I want. So I'm going to look down here, and under other, this one here is called a histogram. And so notice a histogram is kind of interesting because what it's doing here is it's creating these bins on the bottom. It's saying from 0 to 1.7 hours, there were 3 people who said that. 3 people said they watched between 0 and 1.7. And it came up with these bins on its own. But you can change that too. So let's customize it a little bit here. So under the bucket size, those are the bins, we could change it to what we want. And notice that changing the bucket size really changes the shape of the chart. So if you make your bucket size too small, you can't really see the shape of it. But I like 2 because I could see that there's like a nice right skew here. Okay, let's look at our columns. So it has mislabeled our y-axis here because what really on the x-axis is the number of hours of TV. So let's change some of these titles here. So we'll start with the chart title. Number of hours of TV is fine for that. Let's change the horizontal axis. So this is, again, number of hours of TV. And what's on the vertical axis is actually number of people. Because what this chart is saying is that 3 people watched between 0 and 2 hours of TV. You can see that on the chart right here. 0, 0, and 1. Those are the 3 people right here. 0, 0, and 1. this 2 is included in the next group, so between 2 and up to 4. So, by the way, I lost my little editor, but I got it back by clicking on these 3 dots and clicking on Edit Chart. Okay, so I got it back. I don't really need a legend, so I'm going to go to Legend and I'm going to say None. I don't need that. And that's about it. You can mess around with it a little bit more if you'd like, but it looks good to me. Mainly, I can see really well the bin heights and the bin widths. So we can do our editor there. I'm just going to make this a little smaller. Okay, now, in general, when you're trying to submit things that you've made, charts are going to be the trickiest. Sometimes they just don't come out well when you export them to Excel. So when you're trying to submit something, you're going to want to export it. So you go Download As. And usually I like you to do Excel, especially if we've got formulas, because then I can actually click on your cells and see if there's something that went wrong in your formula, if there's a problem. So try with Excel, and then open your Excel file, see if it looks right. If it doesn't look right, try with a PDF. So I'm going to export it as a PDF. All my charts look really good. Export, and now it's downloading the PDF, and then that's the file that you can add to the Dropbox. Hope this was helpful.